Good morning, Year 1, and welcome to today's English lesson. I firstly just want to commend you on the way that you entered the classroom today. You entered one by one, and I really appreciate that. It's a big improvement from last lesson. So very, very good. I hope you keep up that kind of behaviour throughout the lesson. So to start off today, I will be saying that we are going to be learning about information reports. Now, last lesson I got you all to watch a short video on polar bears, and whilst you were watching that video, I got you to fill out this animal fact tile. Okay, so this is going to come in handy for you today because you will be writing your own information report at the end of the lesson using the information that you wrote down on this animal fact tile. Okay, so that's going to be coming handy later on in the lesson. But before we get to that, we have a few activities that we are going to be doing. It's going to involve group work, so it's really important that you're listening, okay? To start off, so the learning intentions and the aim for today's lesson. So students will be learning about the structure and the composition of an information report. Now, I know there were two really big words in there. So when I say structure, I mean you'll be learning about how to write an information report well and good. So the different subheadings that you need to use and what you need to talk about. So yes, now students learn that information reports do not contain opinions. Now this is a really important thing to note. It's not like writing a narrative, it's not like writing a recount. This is purely facts only. So that brings me to my next intention. So is the next aim for today is that students will learn to use facts when writing an information report. So I'm just going to go through that again. So the aim for today's lesson is students learn about the structure of an information report, students learn that information reports do not contain opinions, and students use facts when writing an information report. Three really important things to remember throughout the lesson. So what am I looking for today? So I am looking for students who are engaged and who participate and share their ideas. Now this is extremely important in today's lesson because it is very content heavy. And what I mean by content heavy is there is a lot of information that I'm going to be sharing, and there's a lot of information that you're going to have to remember and listen to. Okay, so I'm looking for students who work well collaboratively. Now, collaboratively means work well together. So listening to one another, okay, talking to one another, talk one at a time, sharing your ideas. Because, you might not understand something and maybe someone does, and they can help you. That's like the beauty of group work, okay? And I'm looking for students who stay on task. This is really important. So when you are writing, composing, whatever you're doing, it is really important that you're staying on task because one bit of information that you might miss is maybe something that you really needed. So making sure that we're focused, okay? And students who listen to instructions. Now I'm already so impressed judging by the way that you entered the room today. So I hope that you all keep up that behavior. Okay, so by the end of the lesson, the success of this lesson is going to rely on whether you guys understood and understand the structure of an information report. Okay, so that's really important. And another thing is by the end of the lesson, you would have learned that we can compose sentences using the facts that we have found to write an information report. Okay, so moving into today's lesson. Today, as I said, we are going to be learning about information reports. Now, does anybody remember what I told you about information reports from last lesson? Yes, Levi. Wonderful. Okay, so Levi said that information reports contain facts, and that is absolutely correct. Wonderful. Thank you so much for that answer. That was perfect. Does anybody remember what I said information reports do not contain? Sarah? Okay, wonderful. Sarah said opinions. That's really good, guys. I'm really glad that you're remembering those things. Yes, so information reports do not contain any opinions. Okay, none. Wonderful. So I'm going to jump into our first activity of the day. Now I'm going to be reading you an information report that I put together on humpback whales, okay? So, first thing that we have here, does anybody remember what this is here? Wonderful, that's the title, okay? The title is very important because it tells us what the information is going to be about, okay? So it tells us what the information report is going to be about, okay? Now, next we have the introduction. The introduction is so important because it tells us what a humpback whale is and what it does. So it's introducing the topic to us. In this case, it says humpbacks are a type of whale. Whales are large mammals that live under the sea but come to the surface to breathe. Okay, so that is just a brief introduction about what a humpback whale is. Does anybody have any questions about that? Yes, Sarah. Okay, Sarah asked, do we need an introduction when we do an information report? And the answer is yes. You absolutely need an introduction because it actually introduces what you're talking about. So for example, if we were talking about me, okay, how would you introduce me? So you could say Sabrina is a teacher. She works at ACU, okay? So they're basic facts about who I am and what I do, okay? So moving on to the identification. Now this is a really big word. Does anybody know what the identification is and what it means? No? Okay, that's okay, that's okay. So the identification is identifying the animal. So when you identify something, you're basically telling us what it looks like. So the identification of a humpback whale is it has individual markings like fingerprints. Humpbacks have a large bumpy head with two blowholes and they are black or grey on top and white underneath with long front flippers and white markings under their tails. So do you see that's kind of identifying the features of a humpback whale, what it looks like? So if you were to identify me, you would say I have 5 fingers on each hand, I have 2 arms, I have brown hair, okay? So it's just identifying what a humpback whale looks like. So moving on to food. Now this one's easy. Can anyone tell me what they think food would be about? Okay, perfect. Callum said diet and food. That is a wonderful answer. Thank you for that. So humpbacks are baleen whales. They eat krill plankton and catch small fish. They can eat up to 2,500 kilograms of food a day. Now that is a lot of food. Okay, that is an enormous amount of food. Now after that we have the behavior. So behavior means some of you would know what this means because sometimes you guys are naughty, sometimes you are good. So that's your behavior, how you behave, okay? So a humpback whale's behavior includes leaping out of the water, slapping their fins against the water and hitting their tails against the water. Humpbacks are very noisy whales. They produce a wide range of sounds and the male whales sing long and complex songs. Okay, so that's just explaining the behavior of a humpback whale, okay? Moving on to the conclusion. So the conclusion is what we finish the information report off with. Now, in an information report, we typically finish off with any interesting facts, okay? So in this case, humpback whales are an endangered species. Their numbers are threatened by pollution and getting caught in fishing nets. So that's about 3 interesting facts there that you can put at the end, okay, of your information report. All right, so I know for polar bears there were quite a few interesting facts that we put at the end, so I'm looking forward to see what you guys write in your conclusion, okay? Does anybody have any questions about that? I am going to be leaving it on the board. Does anybody have any questions about how to structure an information report? No, we're okay? All right, beautiful. So going into our first activity, I am going to be putting you in groups of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now one group at a time, okay? In a moment, we're going to separate into the four corners of the classroom. Okay, but before we do that, I am going to explain the activity. This lesson, I am going to be giving you, again, the animal fact tile sheet. However, in groups of 4, I'm going to allow you to write information using this information report to fill out this animal fact tile sheet. Okay, you're going to be doing this in groups of 4s. If you need to come closer to the front of the classroom to see, you can do that, but you need to do it in groups of 2. Okay, pairs of 2. So 2 people at a time. Okay, because if you have more than 2 people, it's going to get too crowded. Okay, so using this information here, you are going to fill out this animal fact tile in groups of 4. Now I want to hear you engaging and talking to one another about this, okay? Because we did just go through this and, you know, it might be a little bit complex, so I want everyone to talk to one another about it. And if you need any help, I am going to be roaming the room for anyone that needs any help, okay? Now, once we've finished this activity, we are going to come back to the center of the room, and I'm going to actually take the information off, and each group is going to give me what they got for their introduction, what they got for their food, what they got for the identification, the conclusion, etc. Okay, and we're going to create as a class this information report again. Does that make sense? I'm going to go through that again in a little bit, but for the time being, I want everyone to go out into their groups of 4s, one group at a time, please, and I will be handing out this animal fact tile sheet as well. Okay, so by this point, the students have gone into their groups of 4 in the corners of the classroom. I'm roaming around to make sure that the students are on task and are behaving and are engaging in the conversation. And now all of the students, I have asked them all to come back to the center of the classroom because we are going to be going through and creating the information report as a class. Okay, thank you everyone for coming back to the center of the classroom. Now, each group I can see has filled out their animal fact tile sheet, which is wonderful. Now, I'm going to ask each group to tell me what they got for each subheading, and then I'm going to ask them to put what they got on the board. Okay, so then we again are going to create our own information report so everyone understands how it's structured and written out. So, can I please ask group 1 to tell me what they got for the introduction? Okay, so Levi said that they wrote, humpbacks are a type of whale. Whales are large mammals that live under the sea but come to the surface to breathe. Perfect. Now that is the introduction, so we're going to place that right there. Wonderful. Now, can someone please tell me what they think goes next? Sarah? Okay, so Sarah said food. That's not correct, but that is a part of the information report, but it doesn't go underneath the introduction, okay? Maybe have another go and try and think really hard about what goes underneath the introduction. It has something to do with identifying the animal. Wonderful. Okay, so Sarah said the identification, which is absolutely right. Now, can you guys read me what your group got for identification? Every humpback whale has individual markings like fingerprints. Humpbacks have large, bumpy head with 2 blowholes. They are black and grey on top and white underneath with long front flippers. That is absolutely perfect. If you guys wouldn't mind coming up and putting that on the board. Wonderful. Perfect. Now, can anyone tell me what they got for food? Group 3, please. Wonderful. So group 3 said humpbacks are baleen whales. They eat krill, plankton and catch small fish, and they eat up to 2,500 kilograms of food a day. Okay, so yes, the food does go underneath the identification. Okay, the food's the easy one, I think, you know, because food is what they eat. Okay, now group 4, can you please tell me what comes after food? behaviour. That is absolutely perfect. And just quickly, what comes after behaviour, everyone as a class? Conclusion. Wonderful. That is absolutely perfect, guys. I'm really pleased with how you've done this, and I'm really happy. Does anybody have any questions about the subheadings, how to structure an information report, what needs to be done? Okay, no worries. I'm going to leave this here because we are going to move into our next activity now, which is creating your own information report using the information that you wrote down for polar bears on your animal fact title from last lesson. Okay, I'm going to leave this here so you can reference it throughout the lesson in case you get a bit confused about the subheadings again. Okay, but you will be using that information from the polar bears video to now create your own information report. Your own information report in your A4 workbooks. Okay, now one at a time, I want you each to go to your desk, please, one at a time, and I will be roaming around the classroom to make sure everyone is on topic and everyone is okay. If anyone finishes early, come and see me. I have another task for you to do. If anyone needs help, I will be roaming the classroom as well as sitting at the front. So anyone that needs me can come up and sit by me, and I'm more than happy to help. So thank you everyone for coming to the centre of the room, 2 at a time. I appreciate that. Now we are going to reflect on the lesson that we just had. Now to start off, I would like to know what you have learnt in today's lesson. Yes, Levi. Wonderful. So Levi said he learned how to write an information report, which is perfect because that's exactly what you should have learned by the end of the lesson. Okay, Sarah said that information reports do need an introduction to introduce the topic, which is an absolutely superb answer. I am going to be giving people starbursts at the end of this lesson because I'm so impressed with how you've been working. So today, I really do hope that you learnt about the structure of an information report. Okay, the structure, how it's written. Okay, this is super important because for future when you do write information reports, I am so glad that Levi said, information reports don't contain opinions. This comes back to the lesson aim. The aim of today's lesson was to teach you all that that information reports do not contain opinions and that they use facts to write an information report. And that is really important. So I'm so glad that you guys are able to understand that. And I really hope that in today's lesson you did learn about how to structure an information report.